Hello YouTube, Devi2100 here, and I have a video today on Cyberpunk 2077. And one of the reasons why I want to do this video is it's getting so close to the update coming out, the free update 2.0. And then with that coming out within literally tomorrow, which is going to be on the 21st, it's 5 days away, almost at 6 days, 5 days away from then, we will be getting Phantom Liberty, and I have already pre-ordered it. I'm excited for it. Now, normally I would be like, hey, don't pre-order the game. Don't pre-order anything, especially after we've already been burned once by how the game has launched originally. Now, with that being said, I do want to preface the point that with the fact that we had such a just a very a turbulent, very turbulent fucking intro to the release of the game getting its legs going at first, kind of almost like a newborn deer, if you will. It really took a long time for this game to truly get into itself. And I think now where we're at is finally just a superb place to be at with the game. And I think with the actual update to 2.0 coming out, not only is it going to change a lot of stuff, like the fact that the skill tree is going to be completely changed. Like, if you take a look right now at the skill tree in the game as we look at it, like all of this is going to be completely changed come 2.0, literally tomorrow. So that has been a big reason why I've been urging people, if you haven't already, pick up the game, give it a few, hours, try it out the way this is going to be, and then that way you'll have a better, appreciation for what it's going to change to, which I wish I had, the windows of, available for it to like show up the, those screens for all of a sudden changes that we're going to be getting, because there's so much coming with 2.0. As you guys can see right over here, there's so much coming with that it blows my mind. That is what's coming for free. Okay, you don't have to buy the expansion pack, you just have to own the game, and you're going to get all of that blue screen. You're going to get all of that. Now everything on the red, you're going to get that if you buy the DLC. Now, do I think, is it going to be worth pre-ordering? In my opinion, it was worth pre-ordering just based on the alone fact that we are going to get a lot of changes to the actual UI, the police system, and how perk systems were going to be overhauled as well. Those big things right there in itself were big, big kind of perks for reasons why I'm like, you know what, this seems like a good choice to go ahead and just pre-order the game. I already enjoy the base game as it is now, especially with all the updates they've released over the time. And I pre-ordered the game originally. I was here during the launch. I cannot express how just weird and shitty it felt. And I say weird because there was moments where I could play the game on just a little old 1060 GPU, and I'm running this off of like an Alienware laptop and stuff, and I really do feel that with how much it was trying to allow old last gen hardware capabilities to be kind of allowing for it to play the game, I was able to kind of take advantage of that in a weird way, I guess you would say, with playing with my 1060 on the Alienware, because I was able to actually enjoy the game. Well, then fast forward to the, I think it was like 1.2 or so, the one really big update we ended up getting to the game where it really improved all the graphics and everything like that, and it improved a lot of little minor bugs that we had in the game. Well, that initially made my Alienware finally stop being allowed to play the game on even just medium graphics. I couldn't even barely play it on low without it just completely crapping out on me. So, got an Xbox Series X, was playing the game, and I was like, man, this is great. I love playing the game, but it's not on PC. And everybody's like, well, you can plug in your, mouse and keyboard. Sure, yes, I could have. However, it's just not the same when you're actually playing on the PC and you're actually able to, just go ahead and go like this and be like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and, run around Night City. I'm going to go stop the Cyber Psycho event and whatever the case is. And I can actually use my mouse and keyboard to not only crouch, move around, but then also fine point my, my aim. Driving is the only thing I'd say, only thing that could have a little bit more working on when it comes to the mouse and keyboard. Now, again, something else that's going to be changed, along with a lot of other stuff when it comes to vehicles, including, vehicle combat. Some of the stuff we'll kind of get into that here later on. There's a bunch of stuff I have actually notes on that I really wanted to cover over there. Like, one of the big things you guys can also see is that we're going to get over 150 plus items. Now, I've heard some people make jokes like, are we just going to get like the same item, but like different tiers of it, and that's going to count as, the separate items? I don't necessarily think that they would cheap out like that, but I could see maybe where they would do that here and there, just because they're like, oh crap, we didn't quite make exactly that exact number here and there, so maybe we'll just count them like that. I could see maybe them doing that, but there's a lot of cases where I've seen so many comments about, legendaries, epics, rares that are all iconics that you can get in the game that you're just like, wow, okay, so there's a lot more added to there, especially in areas where we didn't quite have as many before. And now I'm not going to speak to the specific weapons or areas where they're at, because apparently it can be a wide variety. Now, I have heard that there still is not as many of like the Sataras. There is now one being added for sure. But as far as I know, I haven't heard anybody say that there's been anything else outside of that. Now, again, though, people that have been able to start talking about the game, that were able to access the game early, they have slowly let out a little bit of information here and there, not a lot, as again, they're still being bound by their NDAs and stuff like that, and the embargoes are being like, hey, you're not allowed to talk about this, you're allowed to talk about this part here. As the game, gets closer, then you can start talking about this, because we don't want to just, they don't want to review the whole hand right off the get-go, and it's completely understandable. There's a lot of people that get really upset. They're like, well, why don't they just reveal everything right out the get? Well, why would you play the game at that point? You'd end up knowing everything, all the cool stuff you're going to be getting. Why would you then go and play the game? It makes more sense to hold some stuff close to your chest, to be like, hey, we're not going to reveal everything. You're not allowed to talk about everything. For those that did get to check out the game or review the game early and stuff, they want you just to be able to be like, hey, can you help hype this up enough that people might want to buy the game, pre-order it, whatever the case is, and get it upon launch when it gets out on the 26th. And I really think that what people will see come, live streams tomorrow is really going to push for even more, almost like end of the line, pre-orders. That the last second, like, okay, you know what? I saw the live streams, I've seen the updates now, or I've already bought the game and now I've got to play the update. Now I want to go and pre-order the DLC if I haven't already. And again, for those that are wondering, you can play the DLC right from the get-go once once it's released. If you've already gotten to the meet up to Pilen, I can't remember exactly how to say the mission's name, but it is where you get to meet up with the Voodoo Boys at the church. Once you get to go there and do that mission, you will have access then to the DLC. Songbird will actually give you a call, and what's going to happen is it's going to automatically activate the relic skill tree. Now, that is something that we've all kind of hypothesized and theorized that it's like, this is going to be a thing. This is going to be a thing. And we kept being like, oh, it's going to be this next update. It's going to be this next update. It's going to be this next update. And it never came. Now, it is for sure coming with this DLC that, in fact, the relic tree will be, in fact, used. In fact, if you guys, take a look over here on the skill trees here, let me just go and pull that back up really fast. You can see how when I go over to it, kind of just fizzles out. This will turn blue. From at least what I've seen and heard, is that this will still be like, red outline, red with the relic in it, but it's gonna have this nice blue, kind of like this, or actually more like this in the background. You'll click that and you'll get a bunch of other perks. And from what I've heard, it is in fact the way the build planner it looks is in fact the same way the game will work as well. That the relic abilities, you will be able to technically get every single relic ability as long as you find all the I think what are they called, relic shards, you'll have to find in the game in order to acquire these abilities. Now, as long as you find all those, you can technically get all the abilities. Now they are going to be increasing the level cap to 60. Now that is a big thing. Now what I've not heard, not really from anybody really at all that's been releasing any, content about having released or played the game early, is do our street cred also get that little bump up to 60 as well, or does it still stay at 50? And only that the actual character level gets boosted up to 60. Now I could see both being to 60, but I could also see them remaining this to 50 and this to 60. However, though, I think with Dogtown we're gonna see some stuff that's gonna be locked behind other street credit values. So I could see easy them putting that to 60. It's being like, hey, you can't do this mission or this mission or this mission until you at least get like a 55 in your street credit. So that is something I could potentially see happening as well with the increase of character level to 60. And again, with the character increase to 60, we're going to get to change to all the perk trees and with the perks to operate. Now, again, a lot of the perks that like we've seen like this, things like that, they're going to be completely wiped away, and some of them may be completely gone, like absolutely gone in general, and then may have just be completely substituted in for the new one as well. Now, the big thing I gotta say with that is I'm not exactly, sad to see that. What I am sad to see is that there are certain ones that I feel like got very limited for playstyle depending on how you do it. Now, again, they are saying that there is a lot more playability with the new trees. I think that they really could have done more with maybe keeping a lot of some of these perks here, uh, but doing away with making it more understandable how each one would incrementally change your actual stats. Now, being as that the way the stats are going to work, I think maybe that's why we went to this newer form of smaller amount of skills. Now, again, if for those that want to check that out, all you have to do is if you don't already own the game or anything like that, and you want to go check out all these things, all you have to do is go to Cyberpunk's website and then go check out what's called their build planner or skill perk planner, whatever it is. And you'll be able to go and build your like actual perks, just like I was showing you there before. But it'll be with the new tree system, and you'll be able to see what all the skills are named, how they work, and everything like that. Now there are going to be some skills that are only going to be bound to the vehicles, which makes sense. Along with even the exit that we see in the trailer, which I absolutely love how you can exit off of a motorcycle now. But again, you gotta take a perk for that. And that was something that a lot of us already kind of theorized was like, yeah, we're probably gonna have to take a perk for something like that. But I will say though, a big thing with that is that a lot of the car perks really do add a lot more to the gameplay itself and really makes you wonder how is this going to change the game overall. Because I'm very much excited to see that. Another big thing I'm really excited to see is just Dogtown in general. I think that has been the biggest thing for us is that we have not had any really big expansion or anything added to the map at all when it comes to updates. We've had items, we've had quests, we've had, all kinds of little Easter eggs done for edge runners, but we've not actually had the map be edited in a way to be like, hey, we've added this, and this location. Come and check out this place. So with Dogtown and a bunch of other locations being added as well, I'm excited to see how Night City is going to change, guys. It is crazy to think that just in a few days, Night City is going to evolve from what we used to know to now what's going to be what we're going to know moving forward until Project Orion gets on its way even further. And now I've already heard that it is still already on its way, being worked on, slight development here and there. I think they're still just working out narrative and story, along with kind of like the artwork and so forth, so on. Which again, I am excited to see. I'm excited to see where we're going to go with Project Orion. I'm hoping with the name that it suggests that maybe we'll get to go to the Crystal Palace right off the start, and then maybe go back to some part of the NUSA, or maybe that the fact that, I mean, when you listen to how big the Crystal Palace really is and how big of a habitat it can house, I mean, you could potentially do a lot of cool crime up there as well as a mercenary. So, I mean, it'd be cool to see what we could do potentially up in the Crystal Palace, or even still yet. Let's see what happens if maybe we can get like a little expansion, or like you go from there back to Night City, then you go to Boston finally, because they are just about to finish the maglev all the way to Boston by the time that you're playing V. So there is that notion that you could just progress it just enough that is completed, and you get to go to Crystal Palace, Night City, and Boston, which would be really cool to see the Cyberpunk version, because we've got to see Fallout's version of Boston, so now it'd be cool to see Cyberpunk's version of Boston. And, I think one of the other things I really, really want to, say too is that the fact that we're getting a spy thriller, one of the things that I think a lot of us can agree upon is that in the beginning base game, stealth mechanic, it is not forgiving whatsoever. If you even make the slightest mistake, you're screwed. Another little issue. Once in a while, I'm sure I'm not the only person to experience this bug. I'm sure this is a well-known bug in the community. I just don't know what the hell you would call it, but it's almost as if your enemies, the AI, have a wall hack all of a sudden. Because I will have moments where I am 3, maybe even 4 walls through, like by an enemy, right? And like they're clear on the other side of this thing. They see me. They somehow can see me. I can't toggle them. I can't hack them. I can't do anything, but they can see me. And I'm like, that makes no sense. I mean, even in this day and age, in this world, that makes no sense, especially when I've already turned off all the cameras in that area. That is one glitch I'm really hoping it gets fixed and everything, especially with this being touted as a spy thriller. And I mean, I even love that they use one of my favorite games from my childhood, Metal Gear Solid's kind of like font, and the fact that this is a spy thriller also made me instantly think of Metal Gear Solid, because it's like that is a tactical espionage action. That's what it's always touted as. And it has this cool spy drama thriller to it, even though it doesn't quite meet the spy thriller as maybe, Splinter Cell does, or even the 007 games. But I think that Metal Gear Solid does it in a way that is thematically beautiful and is also something that makes you really think outside the box. And Cyberpunk has so many moments where missions or even just lines of dialogue themselves are just like, damn, okay, yeah, yeah. And you really start thinking, and I like that. I can appreciate that from both the writer's perspective and from just the game's actual own narrative, perspective as well. Like, what is the world it's trying to build me? What is the atmosphere it's trying to paint me? And how am I supposed to be immersed into this world? And I know a lot of people throw that word around, that it gets completely bastardized a lot of the times. But when I'm talking about immersion, I want to talk about the fact that I'm getting lost into this world. And the old slogan of PlayStation, live in your world, play in ours. And that's something I take very wholeheartedly when it comes to a good game. I'm like, if I can truly be living in my world, but I'm playing in your world, and I feel like I'm in that world, and I can, like, you almost feel like you can smell the trees that are in the game. You can feel the water, mist blasting in the face if you're standing by a beach or something like that. Yeah, obviously you're not really feeling this thing, but you know what I mean. You're so lost in it. You're like, damn, I'm really there. It's like when you read a good book or you watch a good movie. The media has a way of pulling you in and encroaching you so much into the art that you're like, yeah, this is great. I love it. You're feeling it, you're experiencing it. And when you have that moment of like a character that gets, killed off or something like that, you really feel the loss in it too. You're like, oh man, that was my homie. When Jackie dies, even though you only get a tiny little bit of time with Jackie, it's the way that they can paint that tiny little picture so quickly, but so vividly and so well that you're like, that's my tune, man. That's my tune. Like, why we gotta lose him so quickly? Well, because you're getting a new tune, which is Johnny, and with knowing that we're probably not going to get to see Morgan Blackhand, and that Solomon Reed is not, in fact, Morgan Blackhand in disguise. I thought maybe we might be able to get that, because, I mean, come on, it's Idris Elba. That'd be dope as hell to have him be able to be touting as, the Morgan Blackhand character. I think that would be dope as hell. I think he'd do a good job of it, too, especially with the way, like, the character is. Like, Morgan Blackhand is not necessarily like a pacifist, but he goes about doing all of his missions without killing people. And I think Idris would be able to do a really good job with that, especially with that type of character. I mean, the only other person I think that could pull that off would be, I mean, somebody that's on the borderlines of Richard Gere, but not a pacifist. You know what I mean? Like, we need somebody like that, but it would be really hard. And I think Idris Elba would be very close to being like who could pull that off. So I was kind of disappointed in hearing that, but Solomon Reed's character looks amazing. I'm excited to see the connection between him and Songbird, even further, the connections between all of them with President Myers. I'm excited to see how Dogtown is going to feel and how it's going to really capture our imagination and capture our love for this crazy dark future world. Because at the end of the day, Cyberpunk is and has always been like what it does best, painting and creating the dark future where literally substance is everything. Like, if you're gonna go out, you gotta look fucking baller as hell. You got to make it look like you planned to go out that way. That is what this world means. It means that legitimately there is no such thing as, a botched mission. You've meant for that mission to go wrong because you know what? You were playing some 4D chess. That's how you're supposed to make it look and feel, because that's exactly the type of world that it embodies. That's the type of people that it embodies. That is the cyberpunk world. And I think, honestly, Phantom Liberty, I think, is going to give us the real touch of what the tabletop has done for so long, and what 2077 originally tried to set out to do, but only got a slice of that pie. I think we're about to get the whole fucking enchilada. We can get the whole enchilada, and we about to enjoy ourselves a very tasty meal that is Phantom Liberty. And I really look forward to seeing what all you guys have to say as well, especially about what's coming up here literally in the next day. We have the 2.0 update. Let me know what you guys think about that, and let me know what you guys think about Phantom Liberty in general, because I gotta say, I am truly excited for this DLC to drop out. And I mean, honestly, the biggest thing for me is gotta be the absolute just craziness that is the absolute like sounding of the story. If you haven't already, go check out the trailer with Songbird and Idris Elba when he's on the train. It does a really good job of just painting the story just a little bit. And apparently, from what I've heard from the devs, from the live stream that they did, what it was, what is our live wire, what do they call it? They legitimately were saying that is like so far into the DLC as it is, that you're going to be exploring so much of it that by the time you're at the end, you're going to be like, holy crap, I didn't even realize I was getting there yet. Like, because it's going to be so much and so much. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's going to be guilty of that. Like, it pulls you in so good, but it doesn't quite end as lengthy as you would like it, which is still at fault of Witcher 3. I mean, Witcher 3 ended up making the problem of the fact that nobody, like, I think, what is it, like 80% or something like that of the people that played the game never finished it. So because of that, Cyberpunk inevitably got actually a shorter story. So it would be cool to see Phantom Liberty, progress it further, but I've heard that it's upwards of 80 hours at most being added to the game, which, I mean, that's still a lot, but I would love to see even more added. And I know this is supposed to be the only DLC we're getting, but I have hopes that we get it going so good for us. Like, this is like the best DLC, best launch they could have, that legitimately they're like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna do one more before Orion comes out. We're doing one more. Fingers crossed, though. But let me know, like I said, you guys down in the chat below. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you guys aren't subscribed already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, YouTube.